Right then, it is time to review our 2-1 loss at home to Oxford. And it's going to be a tough one today because there was moments in this game that were frustrating. There was ones where you could maybe say kind of cheated us out of a result maybe. But at the end of the day, what it all comes back to is us just putting in a performance. And unfortunately, once again, it wasn't there against a very, very capable Oxford side. Yes, they've had a bad start, but once again proving today that they have an experienced, strong squad, even with the injuries that they do have and all the players out that are not match fit. So I suppose, where do we start? Let's just talk about the game bit by bit. So, first half, we came out, we struggled from the get-go. They could have scored about 2 minutes in. They had a chance where they whipped it in from the right-hand side, once again exposing us down the flanks, both sides, getting balls into the box. And yes, nothing came of it in the first half, but it's seriously worrying that every game, even though we do have, obviously not on the right-hand side today, with George Lloyd playing him right wing-back, that is not ideal at all. But even with Ben Williams as a very, very capable left-sided wing-back, left-sided full-back, just left midfielder even, it's still so easy for the opposition to find those passes down the wings and expose us so much. It's worrying, and it's almost like we're carrying over the same issue from last season, that at times we were very, very narrow, and today at times we were too narrow, and that's why it was so easy for the away side to exploit the wings as much as they did. Like I said, could have scored 2 or 3 in the first 10 minutes with the amount of chances they had, but nothing really major came in the first half other than Alfie May's shot one-on-one with their goalkeeper, which was saved, of course. But again, I don't really think any of us thought it was going in. There was lots of chances. Oxford had the greatest share of those chances, but nothing really major happened in the first half. But obviously, the side that were under the cosh were us. It was very, very, very evident to see. There were certain players that were struggling. Certain players that struggled going into the second as well. But ultimately, it's always very difficult to turn around going into a second half after a poor performance in the first and say, right, let's turn this around, let's switch on, let's perform better. And to be fair, we did. We played better. Still nowhere near good enough. First 15 minutes of the second half, of course, got to about the 60th minute, and that's when we got our goal. First 10 minutes or so of the second half, then, nothing really crazy happened again. Oxford with the great share of the chances. We had a few here and there, nothing too close, no close shaves, not really putting enough pressure on the away side. But in that 5-minute spell in the lead up to where we did get the goal, we did put the pressure on. And that was the football that we need to see throughout 90 minutes, not just 5. And it's worrying signs, really, because I remember saying after the Peterborough game, oh, it's not looking good. We're carrying on the same issue from last season of being a one-half team. Against Exeter, we only played for about 15 minutes of the game. Today, we only played for about 5. We're a 5-minute team now, apparently. So, yeah, worrying, but we did get the goal. We did take our chance. To be honest, it came a bit out of the blue, even though I said in the lead-up, when the set piece was being taken, I did say, this is a goal to the people around me, to which everyone went crazy for. I'm annoyed I didn't get any of the expressions on the vlog, but everyone was absolutely loving it and turning to me and just going crazy. But yeah, it was quite apparent that we were going to score, because if there was a time where we were going to score in the game, it was then. But it's worrying. That's worrying to see that, because there's such a clear differentiation between a good spell and a bad spell for us. And for the best teams in this league, a bad spell is where they don't have too much of the ball, a few chances go against them, they're struggling to get attacks. A bad spell for us is being absolutely peppered, and there's no in-between, unfortunately. There's no in-between between a bad spell and a good spell. There's nothing to differentiate it. Obviously, we went 1-0 up, and then as soon as we scored, we went back to the same again, and we were poor. Let Oxford onto us way too much, and fair play, they showed their experience and class. They played some good football around in the midfield, and of course, they got a free kick on the edge of the area, which Cameron Brannigan, I mean, do I need to say any more? What a player. Close set piece on the edge of the box. You know, we were saying we don't like the look of this. It's Cameron Brannigan, okay? If we don't set up well for it and expect what should be expected when you've got a player of his quality standing over the ball for a set piece, he will score. And what happened? We didn't prepare well enough and he scored. Played a little 1-2 with the other player stood over the ball on the free kick and absolutely stroked it into the far corner. Lovely bit of finesse from him, and what a finish. And from that moment, it was even worse for us because we played even worse than before. The penalty. I'm not one to blame refereeing decisions on results, even though in this scenario it did dictate who took the 3 points or who, or if it was a draw. In my honest opinion, and obviously it's difficult in this scenario because obviously we could have got something we didn't, and I'm frustrated, and I'm a Cheltenham fan, and I go home and away, I'm very, very passionate. It's tough to not be biased, but I'm just going to give my honest opinion. I can't see how the ref can give it as a penalty. Now, I accept that there was contact. There was clear contact. There was contact on their player's shirt. There was a bit of shirt pulling, but very, very light. Not, it wasn't like he was tugging at it. Players do that in 50-50s all the time. Where my issue arises is both players are tussling with each other. It's nowhere near where the ball goes. Both players are looking at the ball. There's no malicious intent from either player. Their player goes down after feeling a bit of contact. Fair enough, footballers do that. And they can win penalties, and they can win free kicks, and they can win fouls from going down from the slightest bit of contact. In this scenario, the linesman has somehow managed to see that there was the slightest bit of contact, and he's gone down and he's given a penalty. There's two things I want to say about that. If the whole ground, including some of the Oxford fans, don't really see anything major that can lead to a penalty or majorly wrong with the attack, how has the linesman seen it, especially from his angle? Secondly, it's a 50-50 for me. Like I've said, both players were tossing at each other. If Long goes down, is it a free kick to Cheltenham? No, it's not. It's not even close. So why is it a penalty? And that's where I stand on it. And I'm not saying Oxford, I'm not saying we got robbed. They were the better team. If you could determine a team that deserved the 3 points more, by far the away side. Don't get me wrong. But it's just so frustrating when there's not really much debate to it. It's pretty plain and simple to see that it just wasn't a penalty. And I think 9 days out of 10, it's not given as a penalty. Unfortunately, we hit one of those days. But again, I'm not here to blame refereeing decisions on the whole result. We played poorly and we need to improve, and it's as simple as that. But it's worth talking about the 2 red cards, of course. It was an absolutely awful challenge. I believe it was a second yellow, but it should have been a straight red. It was an absolutely awful challenge. I don't know if he got the ball, but the height in which he went in, there was no debate whether it was a red card. The Ellis Chapman second yellow, silly. And to be honest, he let himself down. He really did let himself down because he'd already had a tough performance. He'd had a tough game. He'd come under a lot of criticism. He did have a poor performance, and he capped it off with getting a second yellow, and he's now going to get a ban, and he's now going to get a fine. He really didn't need it. Kind of reflected Cheltenham's performance on the whole, but yeah, credit to Oxford for getting the 3 points, like I say. But we move on to Port Vale away on Saturday. Of course, we do have MK away in the Pizza Cup before then. Not that matters at all. See what happens. Hopefully we can get a few of the other younger players and players that don't get much chance, some experience, and just see how they play. It'll be interesting to see. But yeah, thank you all very much for watching. Feel free to comment your thoughts on the game down below. It would be massively appreciated. If you did, smash like and subscribe if you did enjoy as well. Tough one to take. We still sit in the relegation zone after our poor start. We need to start being consistent and just performing. But yeah, tough one today. Like I say, thank you very much for watching. Have a class rest of your day, and I will see you in the next one.